Good morning, everyone. Austin here with Meet Me in the Morning, number 6. And I want you to take a moment, engage with me, if you will. Step away from the machine gun clicking and scanning and grab some value today. I've been doing these videos and had a lot of positive response. I did a series about a year and a half ago where I did 90 videos over the course of 90 days, and the feedback was just tremendous. So I wanted to bring this to you. I'm basically opening up my world to you in terms of what I do in the morning, what I do in the private community that I run. And I want to pour out right now more than ever. So I want you to just check in, maybe take a breath, maybe just allow yourself some time to just engage and get something. You know, we can learn from everyone and be conscious in your journey. So today I'm going to be, again, continuing to read out of this book. It's called The Self-Reliant Entrepreneur. You've been following this. I know some of you have been in here every day. And this book has got a lot of really great value in it. It was written by John Jantsch, and he pulls from the Transcendentalist period. And it's so fitting. It's amazing how fitting it really is. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today? I hope you're having an amazing day. I think it's probably evening or early morning hours for you. And so step in with me here. I have some things I want to share with you. Today is called Entrepreneur as a Poet. But before I jump into the topic, we're kicking off April. And there's a lot of spiritual significance in the month of April. And I've heard people say, oh, you know, Easter's done, it's canceled and all this stuff. Get away from that dialogue. Get away and create. Nothing's canceled. Nothing stops. Just create. Now, again, I'm not saying that you weren't, something wasn't canceled officially. I mean, of course, people's lives are being disrupted. But what I'm saying is create. Don't just buy the mantra that everybody's in that state. Create. This is a beautiful opportunity to create. Good Wednesday morning, Rosario. March 32nd, brother. Yeah, March 32nd. April Fool's is canceled. All right. It's March 32nd. But before I jump into the content today and carve out about 10 or 15 minutes, if you want to really get the value from this, carve out about 10 or 15 minutes. Today kicks off April in this book that I'm reading, and he really spotlights Nathaniel Hawthorne. If you don't know who Nathaniel Hawthorne is, he wrote the book, The Scarlet Letter. A lot of great quotes in there, a lot of great significance in that book. But I want to share this with you. He has a quote that says, "To do nothing is the way to be nothing." So if you're in this state and things are crazy, don't just sit. Do something. You may just sit to process. You may intentionally sit to do some creative thinking, but that still is doing something. Doing nothing is neglect, coast, wait for it to stop, wait for the government to make a new decision. No, become an active force in your life. And the other thing I want to share with you before we get into this is that Nathaniel Hawthorne, his first book, he wrote in 1828. He was so disappointed with it that he burned it. He burned every single copy. And it wasn't until 1850, 22 years later, that he got commercial success with The Scarlet Letter. Your journey never stops. Once you dial into your heart's purpose, it never stops. You might be dissatisfied with what has happened. You might be dissatisfied with the earlier works. Now, Nathaniel Hawthorne's behavior is a little bit extreme. I wouldn't burn it because that is a stepping stone that led to The Scarlet Letter. Had he not took pen to paper and actually went to write that book, it would have never given him the contrast to write The Scarlet Letter. Be willing to make a mess. Be willing to mess up. Be willing to create something that you want to throw away. See, if you're not doing that, you can't get to the greatness. Most people are sitting, they want to go from where they are to some utopia. You got to be willing to make a mess. You've got to be willing to embrace uncertain times. And if this situation has taught us anything, it's teaching us to handle uncertainty. Again, if you're conscious, if you're tuning into videos like this, you're conscious, you're going to learn to deal with uncertainty better. Let's jump into this. March 32nd. Today, entrepreneur as poet. You're going to like this one today, and I got some notes written down. And tomorrow, by the way, I'm going to talk about the light of love. What a perfect time for that. And if you like this, I want you to share it. I want you to join my private community. I'm going to do a little different here. Here's a private community that you can jump in. I'm going to share that. You can always do that. And I have a couple other things I want to share with you here, but let's jump in. Entrepreneur as poet. Who sees the meaning of the flower uprooted in the plowed field? The plowman who does not look beyond its boundaries and does not raise his eyes from the ground? No, but the poet who sees that field in its relations with the universe and looks oftener to the sky than the ground. Only the dreamer shall understand realities, though, in truth, their dreaming must not be out of proportion to their waking. That was written by Margaret Fuller, Women in the 19th Century, 1845. You could probably go into a whole story about Margaret Fuller and writing things like this at that particular era. But let's talk about the author's reflection on this today, entrepreneur as poet. How is it that you describe what you do? And even if you're not an entrepreneur, how is it that you describe what you do? How do you show up in the world? Would you ever think of what you do as poetry? A weaving of sights and sounds into an entrepreneurial field of dreams? Perhaps no, but though you may never communicate using fanciful words or rhymes, there is an art to raising your eyes from the work that appears in front of you every day in an effort to observe that state of your vision. I would jump in here and say that what you do is art, but do you lift your head up to see it? Or are you just caught up in the thick of thin things? Your vision is connected in many ways to every other thing in the universe, just like the flowers on the field. You don't have to ascribe to a special brand of faith to witness this. Isn't that true? That's a great reflection there. Simply observe what happens when you stop, step back, quiet yourself, and listen. Not for the noise, but for the silence. Now stop here. I want you to stay with this. Silence is often referred to as the absence of noise. But if you choose, you could begin today to see it as a unification of all sound. The joining of sound and soundlessness that has the power to connect your vision to every particle in the universe. Woo! I got goosebumps. Get goosebumps today if you haven't gotten them yet. That's powerful. This connection is the ultimate goal of meditation. And when you begin to seek silence in this way, you can see that the restlessness many experience in attempting to meditate is born of the sounds of silence rather than the unnerving still. What sound will capture your attention today? And what I want to share with you, my reflection is that it's the quieting of the self is really the silence. And I learned something really valuable that during prayer and meditation, when you hear like you're in a moment, you're working to capture that calm and that stillness, and then a loud truck happens to go by. Do you ever notice that when maybe you're trying to calm yourself and something happens? Like for me, that my dog barks, right? Sometimes, or something happens, and and this is where there's a great lesson here, by the way. Most of us instantly go, that shouldn't be happening, subconsciously. But what happens is, what the author's saying here, if you can integrate it into a unification, that it's just a part of the entire symphony, just like the flowers in the field are a part of the universe. Now there's a unification, there's an acceptance, and there's an allowance. You see, when you accept the things that you can't control, then you can begin to influence the things that seem like you can't control. And it's a paradox, isn't it? Very deep and very profound. This is Entrepreneur as a Poet. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, whether you're conscious of it or not, you are on a journey, and you and I are fellow travelers, if you will, on the journey to our truest, best selves, to make our footprint in the universe, to bloom in a field of maybe other flowers, and to be our true selves in spite of the noise. And right now, this is a great message, because there's a lot of noise right now. There's a lot of noise in society on a global scale. And it's what you're choosing to listen to that makes all the difference. And it's a really interesting concept, because when the author wrote this, he had no idea that April 1st, 2020 was going to bring this. But what sound will capture your attention today? So not only on the micro level, on the macro level, on the big scale, 100,000 foot, what sound is going to capture you today? Is it the noise? Is it the chaos? Or can you calm yourself in the middle of it and accept the unification of it, and that there's a higher consciousness, a higher working, a higher purpose that's being weaved into the tapestry of all this chaos? And then when we get to the other side of this, beautiful and miraculous things will happen. But that's not a guarantee. It's only in your ability to dial in and be conscious in your journey right now, today. Every day is a conscious, or I should say, every day and every moment, there's an invitation to be present, to let go, to allow, because you trust yourself, you trust your creator, you trust the workings of the universe, that everything has a purpose under the sun, and that you can find peace in chaos. One of the good books says, peace that surpass all understanding. Well, if it's peace that surpass all understanding, then it's best showcased in the middle of a major storm, because you shouldn't be peaceful in a storm. But that's why when you have it, it surpasses all understanding. And it can only be achieved through a full acceptance and trust. I want you to stay connected with me. I'm going to share with you, this is going to be up on YouTube, so you're going to be able to share it on YouTube. I'm going to drop that here. That's the YouTube link. And if you really want to get in touch with your finances and you want to make a decision to figure out what to do right now, if you're somebody that's highly impacted by this, you can get the financial first aid kit. I trust that this moved your heart and your mind today, whether you're an entrepreneur or not. What I want you to do is, what are you going to pay attention to today? Can you tap into a deeper calm? Can you tap into something deeper meaning, deeper purpose? The answer is yes, you can. This is Austin with Meet Me in the Morning. Tomorrow, join me for the topic, the light of love. God bless you guys. I love you. Have an awesome day.